Hello and welcome back to Andres Early Reads, your channel for new books and upcoming gems from the indie world. Today I'll be talking about Augury of Blood by Michael Schultes, which is a book I really loved. I wasn't expecting that kind of energy, that kind of book when I started. First, I want to thank my supporters on Ko-Fi for staying with me. I want to thank all of you for coming, and I want to tell you why I loved Augury of Blood. Augury of Blood, it's the love child between the Iliad and the adventures of Conan the Barbarian. So it's Homer the Greek meets Robert Howard. And how to mix those energies. Well, that's what Michael Schultes did. He did it in a masterful way. He wrote a very epic book. It's well over 1,000 pages, so it's a chunker. It's the kind of book you read when you want to get immersed in the story, because of the way Michael writes, the way he draws you in with the prose he uses. He brings back that old stories, that energy when characters interact. You feel the whole way the characters talk to each other with all the pomp and the style of the old nobles, but you feel the energy of the old sword and sorcery stories of Conan. You feel the action, you feel the combat, the blood. It's bloody, it's visceral. You get drawn in to the action, the way Michael describes it. He pulls you in, he puts you in a headlock, and he doesn't let you go. It's the way he writes the different characters that you can't stop flipping page after page after page, because you feel the story he's weaving. It's a story with meddlesome gods, with gods of the old story types of Homer, gods that are very active in the world, that they have their plots, they have their stories, they have their wants, and they're not passive. They're not, or they are also not almighty, and you feel them woven into the story, weaving their way through the story. And that's where you feel the Richard Wagner energy and inspiration that Michael describes in his book, in his afterword. You really want to see how it ends. You want to see how it ends because of the magnitude, the epicness of the story. It's a story about mankind in their fight against the Night Court Dweyar. The Night Court Dweyar are dark elves of the kind you read in the Ring of the Nibelungs. That's Richard Wagner's magnum opus. There are many other faiths. There are the stone-cured Dweyar that are gnomes and dwarves. If you want to put them in D&D terms or other fantasy terms. But above it all, it's a story about mankind and how mankind deals against those forces. And among those forces, there are the Yetmar, the Titans, and how those Titans were enslaved by the gods to the will of the men. And you want to see how that's woven into that thread, how that goes, how it ends, because it's visceral. I want to talk about the characters because Michael does an incredible job bringing very different types of characters into the story, and how those characters are put into the story. Above them all, there's Lukon. This is for me my favorite character. This is a Conan type character that's full of primal energy, full of combat, of blood, and he's very noble, and he's very straightforward, and he's charismatic, and he draws you in, and he draws the rest of the characters he interacts with in a very natural way, and you see how he is central to the story. As a fact, the book starts with Lukon, and then you can see the thread he is in being the central part of the story. Other characters gather around him, but he's the story for me, and I love him. Verthokar is a very noble older warrior, and he provides a sort of counterpoint to Lukon within the mannish race, within the race of men. And one of the great aspects of Michael's writing is how his antagonists are very human and very understandable in the way they relate to each other's, to the other characters and to the story, and they are very understandable from a human point of view. But among them all of the characters, there's a villain. There are perhaps more than one villain, but there's only one with a point of view, and that's Proitamnes. And he's a bastard. He's a very, very perhaps old school villain. He's a psycho. You can feel it, you can see it in his actions, the way he goes about the world. But he's also very charismatic, and you want to see and you want to read about him because you want to see how he dies. When he dies, you want to see how he dies, because he's bloody awful, and he's very complex too. He's not just, I want to end this world. But Proitamnes is a very compelling villain, and that's like the antipodes of Lukon, and you want to see when they come together and see what happens. So Augury of Blood comes out in July. It's a book for lovers of Wagner, Richard Wagner's epics, for Richard Wagner's magnitude and very bombastic, perhaps, stories that Wagner wrote, composed. It's a book for those of us who love Conan, who want a very active, a very visceral and energetic action in the old school style. It's very sword and sorcery in that sense. It's a book for us who loved the Iliad, who love Homer, the Greek works. It's a book where the gods are very active and very meddlesome, and I want you to take that journey and see those threads being woven into the story. And that's it. I want you to go and check Augury of Blood. I want to check on Michael Schulte's other works. And I want to thank you for coming, for watching me. So once again, thank you for coming to Andres Early Reads. May your TBRs never be empty and your mugs always be full.